All giant monsters are powerful, but they all need an opponent to rival them. And when it comes to these two, they don't get any stronger. King Ghidorah, the demon of the galaxy, and Gyaos, the shadow of evil. I'm one fish mob, and it's my job to see who would win in a fight. If you take a trip through the stars, you may stumble across Planet X, home of the Zillions. The Zillions are a race of extraterrestrials with the goal of, you guessed it, taking over the Earth. The way they do this is by controlling monsters. That's right, instead of fighting the war themselves, they let brainwashed Earth kaiju do the work. But not all of them are from Earth. To this date, their most powerful monster is still the monster native to Planet X itself, King Ghidorah. The arch rival of Godzilla himself, with his tallest height and greatest weight coming in at 150 meters and 70,000 metric tons, making King Ghidorah the Zillion's best weapon for conquering other planets. But Ghidorah wouldn't be as powerful as it is without some powers. King Ghidorah can fly at Mach 3 speeds while in Earth's atmosphere, but it can exceed this speed while flying through space. Ghidorah can use its massive wings to generate hurricane-force winds to blow down buildings and knock other kaiju off their feet. But Ghidorah doesn't just fly past his opponents. Ghidorah's durability is, no pun intended, monstrous. Ghidorah can withstand conventional weaponry with no noticeable effect, can shrug off point-blank blasts from Godzilla's atomic breath, and survive having its middle head decapitated and its wings shredded. But Ghidorah doesn't just use its durability to go toe-to-toe with other monsters. It actually uses its durability to its advantage, since Ghidorah, more often than not, prefers to escape from a battle that it cannot win before it suffers more injuries. Ghidorah can also fire 6 electric bolts from its wings, and Ghidorah's scales can manipulate the light from projectiles to form a protective barrier. Ghidorah has a healing factor that is powerful enough to regenerate itself from a single tail, though it took millions of years to do so. Ghidorah can also install a weak mind control on other beings that are susceptible to it, and can release a strong electric shock through its bite. But Ghidorah's most powerful and famous ability is no doubt the gravity beams. Ghidorah can fire golden lightning bolt-like gravity beams that cause large-scale explosions when fired at buildings, and are roughly equal in power to Godzilla's atomic breath. Ghidorah is certainly an impressive beast. Ghidorah once took on 10 monsters at once nearly killed Godzilla, completely wiped out life on Venus and most life on Cretaceous Earth, each in one day of course, and the severed tail regenerated an entire King Ghidorah body millions of years later. But Ghidorah isn't perfect. He's lost to Godzilla in 6 separate films, killed by Mothra Leo twice in the same movie, and more often than not, needs to be mind-controlled by the Zillions. But Ghidorah is truly a powerful beast nonetheless. Eons ago, there lived a civilization known as Atlantis. Unlike other lost civilizations, this one actually had something going for it. They figured out how to construct life and decided to play God. And thus they created the Gyaos, large vampiric bat creatures that, at its tallest and heaviest, stand around 88 meters tall and weighs over 78 tons. The Gyaos were designed to be weapons used by the Atlanteans. Against what, you may ask? Well, it's never stated. However, there was a slight problem. One of the Gyaos turned out to be able to reproduce asexually, which resulted in it reproducing and causing the entire Gyaos population to get out of control. Which not only led to the destruction of their creators, but led to the complete destruction of Atlantis. and thus began the Gyaos' non-stop quest to, quite literally, feed on the blood of the innocent. But Gyaos wouldn't be such a lethal airborne predator without a few weapons to help it. All Gyaos have sharp claws on their wings, sharp fangs meant for ripping and tearing flesh, and it can produce strong wind gusts from its wings. These wind gusts are strong enough to topple buildings and send an entire army of tanks flying, easily making these gusts comparable to a hurricane. All Gyaos have the ability to fly with top flight speeds reaching up to Mach 3.5. And not only that, Gyaos are surprisingly agile and are able to perform aerial maneuvers with ease. But Gyaos don't just swoop down like normal birds of prey. All Gyaos have a set arsenal of powers. Their most used ability are their supersonic screams, a precise beam that is fired from its mouth that resonates at over 3 million hertz, making it capable of splitting anything in half. Gyaos are also capable of regrowing body parts, like how one regrew a severed foot after an hour. And to protect itself from heat, Gyaos can emit a fog-like gas to obscure sunlight and douse flames. Gyaos are certainly impressive beasts, having forced the Showa Gamera to hide in the ocean to recover, and the flock of Gyaos has overwhelmed M-Force Gamera to use his suicide attack. But Gyaos aren't really that unstoppable. All Gyaos are weak to heat, fire, and will go blind or even die in sunlight, hence why it has that fog-like gas to protect itself with. And Gyaos are unable to turn their heads sideways, only upwards and downwards, limiting its range of vision. Also in the Heisei series, Gyaos was able to turn its head normally. Whatever the flaws, Gyaos are certainly a species that are capable of wiping out all life on Earth if left unchecked.
Fight!
So why did King Ghidorah win? Well, Gyaos may have been faster in Earth's atmosphere, is more agile, has more effective regeneration, and Gyaos' supersonic scream could easily cut into Ghidorah's flesh and scales. But let's face it, King Ghidorah is just larger, more powerful, and more durable. As well, not only could Ghidorah's barrier power protect it from Gyaos' supersonic scream, King Ghidorah has a more varied arsenal to use at its disposal, effectively making Gyaos' limited arsenal of weapons and powers practically useless. And of course, let me get the elephant out of the room. King Ghidorah has faced opponents far more powerful than what Gyaos will ever be. In the end, it looks like this bird has just been roasted. The winner is King Ghidorah.